Hello guys, so we are going to continue discussion with respect to statistics, and in this video we are going to discuss about types of ANOVA. Now already we have seen about factors, levels, you have got some understanding about the assumptions. Now specifically whenever I talk about types, there are specifically 3 types of ANOVA, and with respect to this kind of types you will definitely be getting in a problem statement, okay, which we will probably solve in the next upcoming videos. Number 1, which we specifically say as one-way ANOVA. Now in one-way ANOVA, right, with respect to the data set, you have one factor with at least 2 levels, and these levels are independent. I will show you one example so that you'll be able to understand now what does this independent basically mean. Okay, so let's consider this. Okay, let's consider a doctor. Okay, I'll give you this example. Doctor wants to test a new medication, okay, to decrease headache. So you have a headache and doctor wants to try a new medication. So what they do, they split the participants. In 3 conditions, okay, or 3 groups, you can basically say. One is with 10 mg of dosage, one is with 20 mg of dosage, and one is with 30 mg of dosage. Okay, so they are definitely a new medication, but with this many number of dosage. Okay, then doctor also asked the participants. So doctor asked the participants to rate the headache between 1 to 10. Okay, so this is basically what the doctor is specifically wanting. Okay, now in this scenario over here, obviously with respect to the factor, when I talk, medication will be your factor. And with respect to the medication, let's say the dosage that you are probably seeing, this will basically be my levels, right? So these are my levels. This is the medication is the factor. And one more very important thing is that the levels are independent. See, this dosage of medicine is independent to this dosage. There's nowhere relationship. These both are different medication. Now with respect to this, there will be some sample of people. Let's say they had this particular medicine and they are giving the rating as 5 between 1 to 10. This can give 7. This can probably give 2. This can give 3, 4, 6. They can give different values based on the effect of the medicine. Right. So this is what specifically we talk about when levels are independent. Okay. And medication over here is definitely the example of that. Now let's go to the second type. Okay. Second type is basically called as repeated measures ANOVA. Okay. Now in repeated measures ANOVA, here you have one factor with at least 2 levels, and here you can basically say levels are dependent. Okay, so I hope you have understood this. Levels are dependent. Now let's see with respect to this particular example. Let's consider I'm talking about running. Okay, now this running, well, let's consider this is a factor. Now with respect to running, right, if I've selected a sample of people and I'll tell that try to run day 1, in day 2, and in day 3. So the same person is actually running for in the day 1, day 2, day 3. So here now you can see the levels are dependent because the same person is running. First day he or she may run 8 kilometers. Second day 5 kilometers, 4 kilometers. Like that we go to the next row. Let's say the next person probably runs 7 kilometers on the first day, then 4, then 9. So this kind of combinations, they may have different data, right? But in this case, you can see these levels that you see, right? These are my levels. These levels are dependent, right? Because day 1, Probably your performance may not improve in the day 2, it may improve in the day 3. Like this, you have some data, right? And obviously at least 2 levels are there. So here you have more than 2 levels, 2 or more than levels, right? So this is with respect to the example of repeated measures ANOVA. Now coming to the third type, okay, which is basically called as factorial ANOVA. So this kind of data sets will be available to you. Factorial ANOVA. Now in the case of factorial ANOVA, you specifically use 2 or more factors, each of which with at least 2 levels, okay, with at least 2 levels, and this levels can be independent or dependent. Okay, so here what we are basically saying, 2 or more factors. Obviously when we say factors, let's consider an example. Now the same example I can consider, right? Let's consider this running example. So I have this data, let's say this is my running data, and this is the running data. One factor is present over here. I will have different values like 9, 4, 3, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 3, right? Let's consider this. Now this is one of my factor, obviously, and these are my levels. Now we can have one more factor over here, right? Let's consider gender as one factor, and here I'll try to split the gender based on male and female. Let's consider that this data that you see over here, the top 2 data is specifically with respect to the male. So this is definitely one factor. This is my another factor, right? Now with respect to this particular factors and levels, gender is one factor. So this is specifically one factor, and these are my levels, right? And over here running is one factor, and these are my levels, right? Day 1, day 2, day 3. So level can be independent and dependent. So here you can see that it is dependent. Here you can probably see it as independent. Male and female are completely separate entity. So 2 or more factors, obviously we have taken an example. So whenever you get this kind of data set, probably we can definitely consider it as a kind of factorial ANOVA. So I hope you got an idea about the 3 types of ANOVA. Again, a very important interview question. Whenever someone asks you with respect to that, you should be able to explain this, right? So this was it from my side. I will see you all in the next video.